Hi everyone, I'm your TA, your lab TA for Bio 130. Just to make sure we have the right people watching here, we are section 1 and we meet Mondays from 1 p.m. to 3:50 p.m. Wait, that doesn't, yeah, that's right. Okay, so we meet from that time and it's in room 2021 and you should be in Dr. Jensen's section, her lecture section. Um, so my name is Megan Pugh and I'm your lab TA. And this is just an introductory video to get you guys ready for your first lab since other lab sections have been able to meet today. But the reason why we aren't meeting this week is because Monday was Labor Day, and so you just get to watch this short video, which is a lot better than sitting in lab for 3 hours. So if you could just take the time to do that, that'd be awesome. Okay, so my name, like I said, is Megan Pugh. My email is right here. So if you want to contact me, just email me. That's the best way. Don't do Learning Suite or Canvas. This is the quickest way to get my attention and answer questions and everything like that. Or you can text me. This is also one of the quicker ways. I'm totally good if you guys text me. It's way easier for me. So that's my phone number. Just let me know who you are so that I know who I'm talking to. You know what I mean? Okay. So my office hours are going to be held in room 2058. That's on like the main level. It's on the same level as your lab, but it's over by, it's more south, and you guys can figure it out. You're smart. But it's in that building. It's in the LSB. Okay, and so office hours, I don't have a set time yet. I'm going to have you guys go to this link here, and I'll show you what that looks like. But basically, you go to that link and you select the hours that are work for you. I already put in hours that I'm available, so I'll show you that right now. Okay, so this is what the website looks like if you click on that link. So just click on the times that are good for you, that you think that you'd be able to come to office hours. You don't have to come every week. You don't even have to come anytime if you don't want to, but just put down what's good for you and then write your name here and any comments. Like, I don't know what comments you put, but you're totally good if you put comments. That'd be great. Okay, so that's that. Go back to our little slideshow here. Okay, or by appointment. So just send me a text or an email and I can totally do another time. Maybe a Saturday or something, but that would stink for both of us, so it's better to go off with these office hours. And I'll post those soon. So a little bit about me. I really like photography, specifically nature photography. So all these pictures are ones that I've taken. My husband and I went to Bryce Canyon this summer. It was super pretty. So we also went to Antelope Island and I got some pictures of buffalo. So that's really fun, is taking pictures of animals. We also went to Seattle and there was a bunch of crabs. So figured I'd just put these up here for you so you can kind of get an idea of what kind of things I like to do. So I'm actually a biodiversity and conservation major, but I'm wanting to go to graduate school for marine biology. So that's what this is here for. This is the Oregon coast. It's one of my favorite places. I'm wanting to study dolphin behavior, so I'm working my way through organic chemistry this semester and a mammalogy and other classes to get me prepared for grad school. So that's what I'll be working on besides your TA. And this is my husband, Timo. He's in grad school for the statistics program here at BYU. So we're both pretty busy, but I have lots of time for you guys. So just let me know if you need any help. Okay, and this is how I can help. So I can help you with your lab homework and can help you prepare for lab quizzes. I can give you study tips and I can help you understand material you learned in class, lecture, or a lab. Both of those. Even though I'm not in lecture, I do know some of the material from there. I can also go over your quizzes with you and give you back points, and we'll talk about that later. But I really, really recommend that you come do that. Even if you get an 8 out of 10, you can come in and get an A on that quiz if you just take the 5 minutes. All right, so I can't help you in these ways. I don't attend lecture, so if Dr. Jensen says something really specific in lecture and then you come and ask about it, like she said something weird or she talked about some lecture assignment, I'm not sure I'll know about it, but you're free to ask me and I can let you know. I don't have any access to the midterms or exams, so I can't give you any answers. Unfortunately, even if I did, I wouldn't. So sorry. But um, I don't know everything, so sometimes I'll even be confused in lab. Just be patient. Usually it takes me a bit to just um, work through my train of thought. So um, yeah, I don't know everything, and I don't think anybody knows that. So I can't give you answers to homework or quizzes, and I can't give extra credit. I really wish I could, but I'm hoping that um, with the rules set up for this class and everything, there are a couple ways I can help you out with um, making back points and turning in late assignments and all sorts of stuff. So even though there's no extra credit, you can do really well in the lab. Okay, so we basically have a 3-hour block instead of church. It's on every Monday. So it's our lab and it starts at 1 on Mondays. And so the first 5 minutes we'll do a fun fact and we'll turn on our homework. And then the next 10 minutes we'll answer questions for quiz prep. So if you have any questions regarding the last lab, then you can ask them there and I'll give you the answers to those. So hopefully that'll be a good quiz review. And then you'll take a quiz for 10 to 15 minutes. If it's a harder, longer one, I usually give 15 minutes, but usually they are 10 minutes. And then after that, we'll do lab instructions and start lab. And for this part, you really need to pay attention because there are some safety procedures and all sorts of stuff to make sure that you don't get sick or hurt or anything and others are safe, that everyone can learn in a good environment. Okay, and then after lab is complete, we clean up and then we work on homework. So last semester I had some issues with we would start homework before we cleaned up and everything's just a mess. We have 12 sections this semester and that makes it really hard for our lab tech to set up. So we want to help her out by cleaning up first, making that our priority, and then working on homework. Okay, lab quizzes, they take 10 to 15 minutes. After each class, I'll send out a small study guide going over material we learned. Make sure you email me any questions about material on the study guide by Saturday. So we have lab Monday. Next Monday, I'll go over our food calorimetry lab. And then by that Saturday, you'll need to email me some questions you have from the study guide that I send you. And then I'll answer those right before the quiz as your review. So if you have questions the day of and you're raising your hand and you ask a question, I'm not going to answer it just because we might not have time because our labs at the beginning of the semester take up a lot of time. But if you email me beforehand, then I can kind of schedule it into our lesson plan. Quizzes are graded out of 10 points. They're not handed back, but you can go over your quiz within 3 weeks, and that's key. Within 3 weeks with me during office hours, and you'll receive half of the points back that you missed. So if you got a 6 out of 10 on your quiz, you can then come to me and you can get an 8 out of 10, which is a pretty big difference. And this is college, so every point counts. Here, let's go back to this for a second. I'm trying to think. I think that's it. Besides the study guide, so the study guide is, I'll just send it out for each lab to prep you for the quizzes. They're just short. They just cover the material that we went over in lab. They're good, just overview of what we learned, what you'll need to know for the quiz, what you'll need to know for exams and things like that. My students last semester really liked those, so make sure you keep an eye out for them every week. Okay, lab homework. So at the end of lab, you'll be given time to work on lab homework, usually, if we have time. So first, what you do is you work on your lab homework, and you'll want to get initials that you've at least attempted the homework. So that's easiest to do during lab. So at the end of lab, you'll attempt your homework, get as much as you can done, at least go through the entire thing. You can skip a couple questions here and there, but then show me that you've worked through it all, and then I'll sign it, and then that gives you 5 points. If you don't get that done by the end of our lab, you can get it done. You can get it signed by the lecture TA during the first lecture of the next week, so of the following week. So next week we have our food calorimetry lab next Monday. And then that Wednesday, you'll want to get your, before lecture, you want it to be done. I'll explain that later. Okay. But it's pretty clear in the syllabus. So take a look at the syllabus and then you'll kind of understand what this is talking about. But you'll want to get the initials either during lab or before the next lecture. Okay, so that's the 5 points right there. Another 10 points are given for correct answers. And homework is due at the beginning of the next lab. 25% penalty for each weekday that it's late. All right, that's pretty self-explanatory. If you have any questions, you can email me. And of course, you always get this 5 points. So at the end of the semester, if you're like, I didn't do any of my homework, but at least I got it signed when I did it during lab, so you can turn all those in, that's just fine. But please do the whole assignment because 5 out of 15 is not a good score. All right, attendance policy. You can miss one lab unexcused, but any more and you'll fail the course. And this is a big deal. I had a couple students do this last semester and it was kind of sad. But make sure you come to lab and you're prepared and everything. If you have any issues, you can email me beforehand, before Monday, and let me know if you have to miss. And then we'll make sure that you have an opportunity to make it up. And the way you'll do that is you'll attend another TA's lab later in the week. Since your Monday lab, it'll be a lot easier to make up a lab. But just make sure you email me beforehand. And if you're like throwing up the day of, that's totally fine too. Just email me. We'll make it work. Okay, so these are the reasons why you can miss lab. Oh, and make sure you're on time or you may miss the quiz because we do start the quiz fairly on in the lab. So if you're 5 minutes into the quiz late, then you only get 5 minutes to take the quiz, and that'll be tricky. Okay, so that's that. You can look over. All right, so these are our safety policies. You'll want to wear long pants, closed-toed shoes for every single lab, even now when it's stinking hot outside. And for some labs, you'll want to wear your hair up. You'll want to know where the eye wash, shower, first aid kit, fire extinguisher are. I can show you that when we come into lab. This is a big deal. No food, drink, gum allowed in lab. And make sure you keep your water bottles closed in your backpack. This is like illegal, so we can get in a lot of trouble if you guys don't wear long pants, closed-toed shoes, and if you bring food and drink and gum. That would be a big deal. If the safety manager walked in and she saw that, we would get marked down severely. So make sure you're following those rules. So yeah, listen to and follow safety instructions for each day's lab. That's super important, like I said before. And it's also important that you report any major or minor injury to me because there's a weird form I have to fill out even if you get like a small scrape or something like that. It's kind of ridiculous, but we have to do it. You'll also want to report any spills, broken materials. I also have to fill out a form. And we dispose of biological waste and chemical waste, so I'll teach you at the beginning of lab during the safety procedure explanation where to put those materials after we're done with them. Just make sure when I'm giving you instructions to safely stop what you're doing immediately, just in case it's like an emergency, you know what I mean? And don't guess on any procedures. If you're confused or you're just kind of flowing with your table and they're a little confused, but you're like, oh, whatever, I guess I'll just do what these other 3 people are doing. Just raise your hand and ask me. It's super easy. I'm totally available that whole time. Okay, so this is going to be your first assignment that is due. You'll want to meet with Mike Goetz. So this is called the Library Lab. You're getting a book called Your Inner Fish, and that's going to be what you read for your book report this year. So this assignment is kind of introducing you to the material and that. It's going to help you write your book report. So you'll want to meet with a guy named Mike Goetz. He's our librarian over the biology department. And you'll print out, so go ahead and read through your library lab assignment, and then you can pause this video, read through it, and then refer back to this video or whatever you want. But I'm just going to pretend like you read through that through the library lab assignment, and that is found in your lab packet towards the beginning. Okay, so you meet with Mike Goetz, then you print out the initial media article that you found, just the first page, you don't have to print the whole thing. Then you also attach an annotated bibliography of the 7 sources. So that's your primary source, the 5 other related primary sources, and the review article. And you'll want to staple these all together. And you'll turn those in on September 17th. So that's Monday, September 17th, during lab. That'll be at the very beginning of lab, you'll turn that in. So this is out of 15 points, and in order to get those points, you must meet all the requirements and be quality work. And you can email me with any questions. And definitely email me if you have any questions about like what's a primary source, or if your source works as a primary source. These are the dates and times you can go. You can click this link to sign up, and it brings you to this page. That's Mike Goetz. And then you can click any of these times. Say you want to go Thursday at 11 a.m. You can begin your registration and then just fill out all this information. And then you'll go to 2212 HBLL. That's the library. Any questions, just send me an email. Okay, so we're moving on. So, fruit flies. This is what we're going to do for our first lab, at least part of it. So when you come in, we'll start this right away. And this first lab is going to take a lot because we're doing your food colorimetry lab and this fruit fly setup. So make sure you watch this part so that you're prepared. Okay, so back to this. Your fruit flies are going to help you for a later lab this semester. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry, I was just checking the time. Okay, so the fruit fly lab will help you learn about population dynamics, and that's a later lab this semester. So basically we're just going to raise some fruit flies and see how many babies they have and when they die and all sorts of stuff like that. It'll be fun. So you'll have a total, when you walk in, you'll have a total of 4 fruit fly jars at your table, 2 large jars that look like this, and 2 small jars that look like that. So you should have 4 people at each table. 1 person will take any jar. So each person has a jar, doesn't matter what size. As long as each table has 2 of these and 2 of those. Okay, to make your fruit fly food, you're going to go to one of the back tables. There'll be this instant Drosophila medium. So you put 1 level scoop of this fruit fly medium into your jar, and then you take a small pinch of this yeast and put it into your jar. You'll add a few drops of water at a time and stir. We have popsicle sticks that you can stir with until your mixture has the same consistency of peanut butter. And that means that when you tip it over, it doesn't move. It doesn't move at all. And that'll make sure that your fruit flies don't die and that they have enough food and everything. Okay, so it'll kind of look like this. See, like the consistency of peanut butter. It should turn blue. It could stay white. Doesn't matter. But yeah. So after your mixture is complete, you're going to come up to me and I have fruit flies that are knocked out. You'll look at the diagram. That's this one here. There's a diagram also in your lab packet. To determine between male and female, you'll want 2 females and 2 males put in your jars. And you'll use a cotton swabber paintbrush to pick up those anesthetized flies and place them in the jar. So you'll want to have this horizontal so that you're not dropping the flies straight into here, into this blue medium, because they can drown because they're knocked out. So you'll tip this over to its side and then kind of gently put the flies right there. And I'll remind you to do that later. But then you'll plug your jar with a sponge stopper like this. It doesn't have a screw, just the stopper. And you'll lay it horizontally on the back table. And you'll want to label your jar with a piece of tape that has your section number, which is 1, your name, and your species name, which is wild type or vestigial. See, in this jar, this species name is vestigial. All right, so this is your end result at the end of the semester. Your jar will look like this. See, it has a little sponge cap, has a bunch of, they call them puparia, which are the fly larvae, like little cocoon things. So you'll be counting your puparia every week with Sharpie dots of different color and recording them into your lab packet. And we'll use that to study population dynamics. All right, so I'm going to go through the learning outcomes of this class. There's a certain way that the Bio 130 coordinator wants us to teach Bio 130. It's different from AP and some other advanced classes that you may have taken in high school. It's more of a discovery and exploratory lab than it is a memorization and just kind of throwing out information to you. So we call them the 5 E's. The first E is engage. And students engage in the material by experience a puzzling phenomenon that warrants explanation. So this always happens at the beginning of lab to kind of engage you all. Explore. This is where you'll explore the phenomenon and construct your own understanding through a process of dynamic equilibrium, interacting with the material, consulting their prior knowledge, interacting with peers, the TA, etc. So this happens during lab. And this honestly makes it a lot more fun. All right, so explain. I'll help clarify your understanding and apply terminology to your mental constructs. So this starts in lab and finishes in lecture. Oh, I forgot about this. Okay, ignore these pictures. I don't remember why I put them there. Oh, actually, okay, I do know. Okay, so this clownfish, and so clownfish are immune to anemone's stings, and this is an anemone with a little fishy who did not do so well because he's not a clownfish. So we're wondering why this fish and this anemone, why a clownfish lives in an anemone. And the answer is mutualism. So then we'll elaborate. We'll bring this information out of the contextual specificity of the material you learned and apply it to new situations. So here's a question. Why isn't this shark eating the fish? Well, if we look back to our example of the anemone and the clownfish, then our obvious answer would be that the animals have some sort of mutualistic relationship where the shark benefits more from the fish's presence than it would by eating the fish. So you can kind of apply the knowledge that the information you learned, apply it to something other situation, and that's how you really understand the material. And this will happen in lecture and in homework assignments. Evaluation occurs, of course, during lab quizzes and lecture exams. So we call this inquiry learning versus traditional learning. Here's a study basically showing that traditional does not do so well in comparison to the inquiry. Like a lot different. So if I'm going to be asking you questions and really stretching your minds, I'm not really going to give you the answers. So there'll be a lot of asking questions and just really urging the class to respond. So this can be a little frustrating at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll be really great, and it'll totally help you on your exams. And honestly, this class helps you way more than just like the information you learn helps you beyond the final exam. It helps you learn how to be a biologist and how to learn biology. So it's a really great beginning class. All right, here's a very important part. For our food calorimetry lab, which is next Monday, you'll want to wear your hair up. There will be open flames, so you don't come to class with a hair tie. That is required this time. Remember, no food, water, gum are allowed. Make sure you store these in your backpack. And we'll have our backpacks stowed away in little cubbies at the very front of our classroom. Make sure you wear long pants and closed-toed shoes. Otherwise, you have these 3 options. You can either wear an ugly pair of slippers and scrubs. There's only one pair, so if more than one of you come with sandals or shorts, then this is going to be a problem. Otherwise, I'll have to send you to the lab stockroom where you have to buy pants and booties. And or your last option is that you can leave lab and lose 25 points, and that is not a good option at all, so please don't do that. Because if you miss your second time, remember, then you fail the course. So make sure you bring your lab packet. You can get that at the BYU store. If you have questions about that, email me. You also have writing utensils. You need to bring those, and a calculator. Phone works too. You can also use your phone during quizzes. Just make sure you don't cheat. After all, this is BYU and we want to be honest. So totally fine if you use your phone for a calculator. Okay, so this is the last slide. All you need to do is send me an email with this info, these 6 questions. Please, just so that I know that you watched the whole video and you know everything about our lab rules and safety and all sorts of stuff. So please use this email. Please use an email that you use often, and I will send weekly lab emails that you should read. Oops. Yeah. So I'll send you weekly lab emails, and that'll kind of do a review of what the next lab requirements are and a review of the quiz. I'll put the study guide in those emails. So that's, you would definitely want to use an email that you check often, and just send it to this email right here. So in that email, include your name, your year in school, your major or dream career, one thing you're nervous about the course, and one thing you're excited for. And let me know if you responded to the When is Good link. Remember, that's right here. And I'll send that out to you in the email that contains this video. And if you have any questions for me, go ahead and email me those too. That'll be a great time to do that. I'm super excited to be your TA this semester. This is my second time TAing. I've also been a lab tech, so I know all sorts of little secrets about the Bio 130 lab. Please feel free to ask me any questions. Always come to my office hours if you're confused, or even another TA's office hours if my teaching style doesn't work for you. We really want you to succeed in this class. So yeah, I look forward to seeing you next Monday.